A discarded, obsolete space vehicle becomes a weapon after a human mechanic rebuilds it. Luke had always been curious about old ships. Even as a boy, he would spend hours exploring abandoned hangars and empty docks on the station. While other kids played in the corridors, Luke wandered among forgotten vessels, imagining the stories they could tell. Some were rusted and broken, others simply neglected, but to Luke, each had a spark of life waiting to be discovered. The space station hung in orbit around a quiet, dying planet. Once a bustling hub of trade and travel, it was now mostly used for storage, maintenance, and occasional military operations. Most humans had long since left the planet's surface. The station itself was crowded with old ships, scrap parts, and equipment that had been left behind. To outsiders, it looked like a graveyard, but to Luke, it was full of opportunity. One afternoon, Luke was crawling through a pile of old hull panels when something caught his eye. Beneath a stack of metal debris was a small patrol ship. It was coated in dust, its paint chipped, and several panels were missing. The engines were exposed, wires dangling like broken vines. The station crew had long since written it off. It was considered obsolete, weak, and useless. Luke ran his fingers over the cool metal. "You're not useless," he whispered. "You just need a little help." He tried to lift the panels that blocked the ship, but they were heavy. Luckily, his friend Mia had followed him again, curious to see what he was doing. She helped, and together they freed the patrol ship from its resting place. "This is ancient," Mia said, brushing dust off her clothes. "You really think it can fly again?" Luke smiled. "It's old, yes, but I've seen worse come back to life. We just need to fix it. Maybe upgrade it a little." Mia shook her head, laughing. "You're crazy. Captain Hayes will never let us touch this thing. She'd probably have it scrapped if she knew we were looking at it." "She'll see," Luke said. "Once we're done, she won't be able to deny its value." The patrol ship's cockpit was small, scratched, and dusty. Luke climbed inside, brushing off the seat. The control panels flickered faintly, showing signs of life, but mostly dead systems. He touched the buttons gently, as if testing whether the ship would wake. A faint hum responded, barely audible, but enough to make Luke's heart race. "Look at this," he said to Mia. "The engines still have some power. The core isn't completely fried. We can fix this." Mia raised an eyebrow. "You really believe in this thing, don't you?" "I do," Luke said firmly. "Humans built it, humans abandoned it, but humans can make it fly again. We just need to try." Over the next few days, Luke and Mia began examining the ship more closely. They opened panels, testing wires and circuits, and made lists of parts they would need. Some were broken beyond repair, but many could be salvaged from other abandoned ships on the station. "This is going to take a lot of work," Mia said, holding a burnt-out circuit board. "Are you sure we can do it?" "I'm sure," Luke said. "It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about using what we have and thinking smart. Humans always find a way." While they worked, the station buzzed with news of a new threat. Scouts reported sightings of Zereth ships moving through nearby sectors. The Zereth were a warlike alien race, feared for their speed, technology, and ruthlessness. Colonies near the Outer Rim had already been attacked, and humans were on high alert. Captain Linda Hayes, the station commander, gathered her officers. "Our fleet is small," she said. "We can't fight them all directly. We need to be smart, defensive, and ready for anything." Luke listened from the back of the room, gripping a railing. He knew the station's defenses were limited. If the Zereth attacked the station, humans would have little chance of winning with conventional ships alone. He looked at the patrol ship in the hangar. It was small, old, and fragile, but in the right hands it could be different. It could be fast, clever, and deadly in ways the Zereth wouldn't expect. One night, Luke climbed into the cockpit again, tools in hand. He tested the old engines, rewired some circuits, and adjusted panels. No other choice was interact. The ship responded faintly, its hum growing louder. He smiled. "You're waking up," he whispered. "We're going to make you strong again."
Mia watched from the doorway.
"I still think this is crazy," she said. "But I'll help. Someone needs to make sure you don't blow yourself up." Together they worked quietly, salvaging parts from scrapyards and other old ships. Luke modified the engines for better efficiency, replaced damaged wires, and patched holes in the hull. Every day the ship improved, slowly regaining some of its former strength. During one session, Luke discovered something surprising. A small panel in the cockpit hid the ship's AI, long dormant. He carefully activated it, and the console flickered to life. "System online," a faint mechanical voice said. "Identification. Echo." Luke's eyes widened. "You're alive," he whispered. "Odd." Mia stepped back. "It talks?" "Yes," Luke said, smiling. "And it can help us." Echo ran self-diagnostics, reporting damaged systems, weak engines, and outdated weapons. Luke studied every word, making notes. If they could repair it and upgrade the ship, Echo could make it a formidable partner. As the days passed, Luke and Mia continued their work, driven by urgency and hope. News of the Zirith fleet's movements grew more troubling. Small colonies reported attacks, supply lines were disrupted, and panic spread. The station could not rely on its current fleet alone. Luke worked late into the night, strengthening the hull with spare alloys, adjusting the power systems, and modifying the cockpit controls for better responsiveness. Echo assisted where it could, suggesting ways to optimize systems and balance energy output. "We're almost there," Luke said one evening, stepping back from the ship. "Soon you'll fly again, and we'll see what humans can really do." Maya smiled, tired but determined. "I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm starting to hope. Maybe this old ship can make a difference." Luke nodded. "It already has. Even if we fail, we're learning. But I don't think we will fail." Suddenly alarms blared across the station. Scouts reported Zirith ships approaching faster than expected. The station went on high alert. Humans scrambled to ready their limited defenses, preparing for a fight that could come at any moment. Luke climbed into the cockpit, checking systems one last time. The ship was not perfect, but it was operational. Echo's lights blinked softly, ready to assist. "All systems functioning at 75%, Echo said. "Further upgrades recommended before full engagement." Luke nodded. "We'll keep upgrading, Echo, but right now, we might need to act faster than we planned." Mia joined him, carrying extra tools and spare parts. "If we survive this, I want to help rebuild even more ships," she said. "Humans can do incredible things if we try." Luke smiled. "We've already started. This is just the beginning." The station shuddered as the first Zirith scouts entered the sector. Human ships scrambled, firing warning shots and attempting to form defensive lines. The patrol ship, small and old, remained hidden behind a cluster of storage modules. It was inconspicuous, but Luke knew it could change the outcome of the fight if used wisely. "We have to wait for the right moment," Luke said. "We can't just rush in. We need to use our brains, not brute force." Echo hummed softly. "Calculating tactical advantage. Probability of success increases if we strike at weak points and use speed." Luke nodded, gripping the controls tightly. He looked at the stars, at the distant glowing alien ships, and then at the patrol ship beneath his hands. "You're not useless," he said quietly. "You just needed someone to believe in you." As the station prepared for the coming attack, Luke and Mia continued their work, making the patrol ship ready for what might be the most important mission of their lives. They were determined to show that even the smallest, oldest, and most forgotten creation could make a difference. They were determined to prove that humans, no matter the odds, would never give up. And so, the discarded patrol ship sat quietly in the hangar, covered in dust and scrap, waiting for the moment it could rise again. Under Luke's hands, and with Echo's guidance, it was about to become something more than a forgotten vessel. It was about to become a symbol of human ingenuity, courage, and hope in a universe that did not expect them to survive. Luke looked at the stars, feeling a surge of determination. "We're ready," he whispered. "We'll show them what humans can do." And with that, the first spark of a plan began to grow. A plan that would take a discarded, obsolete ship and turn it into a weapon that could change the fate of humans in the galaxy. Luke worked quietly in the corner of the hangar, surrounded by piles of scrap metal and old ship parts. The smell of grease and burnt circuits filled the air. He wiped his hands on a rag and examined the small patrol ship once more. It was battered, scratched, and many of its panels were missing. Most people would have walked away, calling it useless. But Luke saw something different. He saw potential. He ran his fingers over the ship's hull, feeling the faint vibrations of its long, dormant engines. "You're going to fly again," he whispered. His friend Mia leaned against a nearby crate, watching him. She had come to help because she was curious, though she still did not fully trust Luke's plan. "You really think you can fix this thing?" she asked, folding her arms. "It's ancient. It hasn't flown in years, and even if it does, how will it survive against the Zereth?" Luke smiled, not looking up. "It's not about how old it is. It's about how smart we are. We can make it better than it ever was." He started removing damaged panels, carefully setting aside circuits and wires. Some parts were too far gone to be saved. He would need to find replacements. Luckily, the hangar was full of discarded machines. He rummaged through the piles, picking parts that looked compatible. Maya helped him, passing tools and holding heavy pieces while he worked. "If anyone sees us, they'll think we're crazy," she said, shaking her head. "Rebuilding a ship like this without approval? Captain Hayes would freak." Luke laughed softly. "We'll show her it's worth it. She'll have to admit we can do it." They spent days stripping the ship down to its core. The old engines were covered in dust, and many of the internal circuits were fried. Luke carefully tested each component, replacing broken wires and rewiring the control systems. Some parts were scavenged from other scrapped vessels. He was creative, making connections that engineers would never approve of, but they worked. One evening, as they were reconnecting the main power conduit, the ship suddenly hummed. Lights flickered across the dashboard. Both Luke and Mia jumped back. The ship's AI, which had been silent for years, had awakened. A soft, mechanical voice spoke. "System online. Identification. Echo." Luke's eyes widened. "You're alive," he whispered. Echo's voice was faint but clear, almost curious, as if the ship itself were alive. Mia stepped back, startled. "Wait, it can talk?" "Yes," Luke said, smiling. "And I think it wants to help us." Echo immediately began running self-diagnostics. It spoke of damaged subsystems, inefficient energy output, and weak weapon systems. Luke listened carefully, noting everything Echo reported. It was old, yes, but it still had advanced programming. If they could fix it, the ship could become more than a simple patrol vessel. Over the next few weeks, Luke and Mia worked tirelessly. They strengthened the hull using lightweight alloys, reinforced the cockpit, and installed improvised shields made from spare energy modules. The weapons were more challenging. The original laser cannons were outdated, too weak to even scratch modern alien armor. "We'll have to improvise," Luke said, examining an old mining laser. It's not a weapon, but we can modify it. Mia nodded. She helped him attach the mining laser to the ship's hard points. They rewired it to fire in short, rapid bursts. It wasn't fancy, but in the right hands it could be deadly. Echo monitored every step, suggesting tweaks to improve targeting and efficiency. This could actually work, Mia admitted one night, leaning against the ship's hull. I thought it was hopeless at first, but it might actually fly. Luke smiled, tired, but excited. That's the human way. Nothing is hopeless if you try. As they worked, news from the station grew more worrying. Scouts reported ships approaching the outer colonies. The aliens were faster and more aggressive than anyone had expected. The station's defense fleet was small, and many of its ships were already on patrol. Panic began to ripple through the station. Captain Hayes called a meeting with the engineers and fleet commanders. "We are not prepared for this attack," she said. "Our ships are outnumbered, and the colonies are vulnerable. We may have to consider evacuation." Luke listened from the back of the room. His hands itched to work on the ship even more. He raised his voice. "We don't have to evacuate. We have something they don't expect. Echo and I can fight." The room went silent. One of the commanders, Jared, frowned. "A rebuilt old ship? You really think you can face Zereth in that?" Luke nodded. "I know it sounds crazy, but we can use it smart. We can hit their weak spots, and Echo can guide me. We can win." Captain Hayes studied him. She had always trusted Luke's instincts, even when they seemed reckless. It was. Finally, she said, "You get one chance to test it. If it works, you may take it into battle. But one mistake, and it's over." Luke and Maya immediately began final preparations. They worked day and night, upgrading the engines for speed, calibrating the shields and running simulations. Echo proved invaluable, adjusting systems in real time and suggesting ways to avoid overloading the ship's circuits. "We're ready," Luke said one evening, watching the sun rise over the station. The ship gleamed under the light, no longer just an old wreck. It had a new purpose. Mia smiled, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Let's hope your plan works. The colonies are counting on us." The next morning, scouts reported the Zyrith fleet much closer than expected. Luke climbed into the cockpit of the ship, Echo greeting him. "All systems operational. Energy output at maximum. Weapons ready." He nodded, gripping the controls. "Let's show them what humans can do." As the patrol ship lifted from the hangar, it moved like a creature awakened from a long sleep. Its engines roared, faster and sharper than its original design. Echo guided them smoothly through the hangar exit and into open space. Luke marveled at how responsive the ship felt. Every control, every system, was a testament to human skill and determination. "Look at them," Echo said softly. "The Zereth fleet is nearby, expecting no resistance." Luke's eyes narrowed. He could see the alien ships in the distance, dark shapes against the void. They were bigger, stronger, and more numerous. But Luke felt no fear. Humans had survived against impossible odds before. They could do it again. He began running maneuvers, testing the ship's agility. The modified shields held strong, the weapons fired cleanly, and Echo predicted the movement of the enemy ships. It was a dance, a deadly game, and Luke was learning the steps quickly. Maya monitored communications from the station. "You're doing it," she said, awe in her voice. "You're really doing it." Luke smiled, pushing the ship faster. He could feel the thrill of possibility, the excitement of taking something discarded and turning it into a tool of survival. He had built more than a ship. He had built hope. As they approached the edge of the colony's sector, Luke knew the real challenge was just beginning. The Earth would not back down easily. With Echo at his side, the ship under his control, and human ingenuity guiding every decision, he felt ready for whatever came next. And somewhere deep inside the ship, Echo seemed to hum with anticipation. It was no longer just a machine. It was a partner, a weapon, and a reminder that even the forgotten could rise again. Luke whispered, "Let's show them what we can do." And the ship surged forward, faster than anyone thought possible, ready to face the coming storm. Luke's ship moved through the darkness of space, its engines humming steadily. The hangar lights of the station faded behind him, and in front, the void stretched endlessly. He could see the Zereth fleet ahead, their sharp silhouettes cutting through the starlight. They were bigger and more numerous than anyone had expected. Every ship bristled with weapons, glowing with energy, ready to destroy anything in their path. Echo's voice filled the cockpit. Enemy ships detected. Multiple types. Primary threat, large command ship at center. Probability of success with conventional tactics, low. Luke tightened his grip on the controls. "We don't use conventional tactics, Echo. We use our way. We'll hit them smart, not hard." He began weaving the ship through debris fields near the edge of the colony's sector. The Zyrith seemed surprised. They were used to humans fleeing or surrendering. They had never seen an old, small ship move like this. Luke's ship twisted and turned, dodging energy blasts that would have destroyed a normal vessel. "Shields holding at 80%, Echo reported. "Suggest evasive maneuvers to avoid direct fire from command ship." Luke nodded and pulled a sharp turn, the ship darting between floating asteroids. The Zyrith fire followed, missing by meters. The small patrol ship was faster and more agile than anyone expected. It was an old design, yes, but human creativity had made it deadly. As he closed in, Luke noticed a cluster of Zyrith supply ships. They were lightly armed but carried valuable energy cores that powered the enemy fleet. He whispered, "We start there." He aimed the modified mining lasers and fired in short bursts. The beams hit the ships precisely, disabling engines without destroying the entire vessels. Echo guided him to hit critical points, and within minutes, the supply ships were drifting useless. The Exirith fleet noticed immediately, confusion spreading across their ranks. "Well done," Echo said. "We have weakened enemy logistics." Luke smiled faintly, but he knew this was only the beginning. The command ship loomed ahead, massive and heavily armed. He could see its energy shields glowing, pulsing like a heartbeat. Attacking it directly would be suicide. But Luke had a plan. He maneuvered the patrol ship close to a nearby asteroid field. "We use cover," he said. Echo ran calculations instantly, mapping paths between the largest rocks. The patrol ship darted through the field, barely avoiding collisions. From this hidden position, Luke could strike at weak points in the command ship's shields. The first strike came from a distance. The improvised weapons fired in bursts, hitting sensor arrays on the command ship. Alarms blared on the enemy vessel. It turned toward him, energy cannons locking on. "They've noticed us," Echo warned. "Incoming fire in 10 seconds. Luke twisted the controls sharply. The ship rolled, avoiding the first volley. The mining lasers heated up quickly, but Echo managed the energy output, keeping the weapons from overloading. He fired again, hitting another weak point. Sparks flew along the command ship's hull. The Zereth crew were furious, but they could not track the small, fast vessel easily. "Nice work, Echo," Luke said. "Keep them guessing." The battle expanded quickly. Other human ships, inspired by Luke's bold actions, joined in. Even older, smaller vessels, thought useless, started hitting vulnerable points in the Zyrith fleet. Luke could see the aliens struggling to adapt. Humans were using their ingenuity, speed, and clever tactics to fight a stronger enemy. He darted toward the command ship again, this time aiming for the energy core. Echo warned him that shields were regenerating quickly. "We need a distraction," Luke said. He fired a rapid series of blasts at the ship's weapon systems, forcing it to divert power to shields and leaving other areas exposed. He took a deep breath and pushed the ship into a daring maneuver. Using an asteroid as cover, he accelerated, dodged enemy fire, and launched himself directly at the exposed section of the command ship. His weapon struck the energy core, causing sparks and small explosions to ripple along its surface. The ship shuddered. The Irith were stunned. Their command vessel, thought invincible, had been damaged by one small human ship. Morale dropped quickly among their fleet. Luke saw this as his chance. He signaled other human ships to press the attack. "All units, target weak points. Support small craft, move fast," Echo advised. The humans coordinated, attacking strategically. Luke continued dodging fire, weaving between enemy ships, and striking with precision. He saw the Xyrath begin to retreat, their command ship faltering under constant, clever attacks. Even though human ships were smaller and weaker individually, their teamwork and strategy made them dangerous. Suddenly, a Xyrath fighter broke through the formation, aiming directly at Luke. It fired a series of plasma shots, and his shields dropped to 50%. Echo shouted, "Evasive maneuvers!" Luke twisted and spun the ship, narrowly avoiding destruction. He returned fire, hitting the fighter's engines. It spiraled out of control and exploded. He exhaled, heart pounding. The battle was intense, and the patrol ship showed how a single human could make a difference with skill and determination. Hours passed in a blur of energy blasts, explosions, and sharp maneuvers. Luke's ship never stopped moving. Echo guided him tirelessly, analyzing every move, predicting enemy attacks, and suggesting ways to exploit weaknesses. Together, they turned the tide of the battle. Finally, the command ship, heavily damaged and nearly powerless, began retreating. The remaining Xyrath vessels followed, breaking formation. Luke watched them flee, astonished. He had done it. The small, rebuilt patrol ship had survived and defeated a much stronger enemy. The station hailed his success. Captain Hayes's voice came over the communicator. "Luke, you've done the impossible. The colonies are safe for now. Your courage and skill saved lives today." Luke smiled, though exhaustion weighed on him. "It wasn't just me," he said. "Echo helped, and humans never give up." Mia came aboard after the battle, her eyes wide. "You actually did it. You really did it." Luke nodded. This ship, it was forgotten. Everyone said it was useless, but we proved them wrong. Humans can take what's old, broken, and weak and turn it into something strong. Echo spoke softly, almost proudly. "We make a good team, Luke. Human ingenuity and machine precision. The station's engineers and crew gathered to repair the damage and celebrate the victory. Though the battle was over, Luke knew the Xyrath would return. This fight was just the beginning. Humans had shown they could face any threat, not with size or power, but with intelligence, courage, and creativity. Luke looked at the patrol ship, now scarred from battle but still operational. He ran his hand over its hull. "We survived," he said quietly. "And we'll be ready next time." The human fleet began repairs and preparation for future attacks. Older ships were rebuilt, crews trained, and defenses strengthened. The victory proved a powerful lesson. Human determination, skill, and clever thinking could defeat even the strongest foes. Luke stayed with the patrol ship, working alongside Echo. They refined the weapons, patched the hull, and improved shields. Every improvement made the small ship even more formidable. It was no longer just a vessel. It was a symbol of human resilience. As he prepared for the next potential attack, Luke thought of the colonies, of people counting on humans to survive. He knew the Zereth would test them again, but now humans had hope, skill, and courage on their side. The rebuilt patrol ship, once forgotten, obsolete, and discarded, had become a weapon of remarkable power. It showed that even the smallest, oldest creation could change the course of a battle in human hands. Luke leaned back in his seat, exhausted but determined. "Whatever comes next," he said to Echo, "we'll be ready. Humans never give up." Echo hummed softly, the lights on the dashboard flickering. Together they looked out at the stars, knowing that the universe was vast, dangerous, and full of challenges, but also full of opportunities for humans to prove themselves. And so, the first battle was won. The Zereth had been defeated, but Luke knew the fight for survival was far from over. The small patrol ship would continue to be a symbol of human ingenuity, a reminder that even the discarded could rise and become something extraordinary. After the battle, the station was alive with activity. Humans repaired ships, patched hulls, and restored power to damaged systems. Alarms and warning lights still blinked here and there, but the sense of relief was strong. The Zereth had retreated, at least for now, and the colonies were safe. Luke climbed down from the patrol ship, his clothes smudged with grease, and his hands still shaking from hours at the controls. He looked at the ship, scarred and battered, yet still powerful. Echo hummed softly inside, lights flickering in a gentle rhythm. The ship had survived, and so had they. Captain Hayes approached him, her expression a mix of pride and concern. "You did more than anyone thought possible, Luke," she said. "Your bravery and ingenuity saved countless lives." Luke shook his head. "It wasn't just me. Echo helped, and Mia, and all the humans who fought. This was a team effort." Mia appeared beside him, wiping sweat from her brow. "He's right," she said. "This ship isn't just yours. It's proof of what humans can do when we don't give up." The station crew gathered around the patrol ship. Engineers examined the hull, while strategists discussed ways to improve human defenses. Luke overheard one officer saying, "If humans can turn an old, discarded ship into a weapon, imagine what we could do with more." Echo spoke from within the ship. "Systems operational. Repairs recommended, but functional. Probability of long-term survival increased with continuous upgrades." Luke smiled. "We'll keep improving. This ship can teach us a lot about surviving." Over the next few days, Luke and Mia worked tirelessly. They repaired internal systems damaged in battle, reinforced the shields, and upgraded the engines for faster response. Echo assisted constantly, analyzing data and suggesting better tactics for both navigation and combat. Every small change made the patrol ship stronger and more reliable. While humans repaired their fleet, scouts reported small Zereth ships lingering near outer colonies. The aliens were not gone. They had only withdrawn to regroup. Luke knew this meant the next fight would be harder. The Zereth would return, better prepared and possibly angrier. Luke approached Captain Hayes. "We can't just wait for them," he said. "We need to rebuild more ships, train more crews, and use what we've learned. Humans can't rely on luck alone." Captain Hayes nodded slowly. "You're right. Your actions changed our approach. We'll start upgrading older ships, use every resource, and prepare humans to fight smart, not just with numbers." The station held a ceremony to honor the crew who had fought in the battle. Luke received a special commendation, but he humbly accepted it on behalf of all humans and Echo. "We proved today that even something discarded and forgotten can become powerful," he said. "That's what humans do." After the ceremony, Luke returned to the patrol ship. He ran a series of tests, checking shields, weapons, and engines. Echo responded quickly, assisting with calculations and diagnostics. "System stable. Echo said. Efficiency improved by 23% since last battle. Luke grinned. Good. Every upgrade counts. We'll need them all for the next fight. Mia joined him, holding a tray of tools. You need a break, she said. But I know you won't stop tinkering, he laughed. Maybe just a short one. The ship deserves it, but I want to make it better. Every day we wait, the Xyrath gets stronger. As they worked, more humans arrived at the station with old ships. Some were rusty and damaged, others barely functional. Luke examined them and realized the same idea could work. With ingenuity, skill, and determination, even the weakest vessels could become formidable. He spoke to Echo. We're going to rebuild more. If one old ship can do this, imagine a whole fleet of clever humans and smart, upgraded vessels. Echo hummed in agreement. Human creativity and adaptability are highly effective. Over the next weeks, Luke and Mia led teams of engineers, mechanics, and pilots. They rebuilt older ships, modified weapon systems, and trained crews in tactics Echo helped devise. The station buzzed with energy. Humans learned to use their intelligence, teamwork, and creativity to turn weakness into strength. Luke watched the process and felt proud. Humans had always been underestimated by aliens. They had survived by adapting, thinking, and refusing to give up. The rebuilt patrol ship had become more than a weapon. It was a symbol of hope, ingenuity, and determination. One evening, Luke climbed into the patrol ship again. Echo activated lights glowing softly. Preparing systems for test flight, Echo said. He leaned back, smiling. Let's see how far we can push this. Humans don't give up, and neither do you. He ran through maneuvers, testing the upgraded shields and engines. The patrol ship moved smoothly, responding perfectly to every command. Even after battle damage, it felt alive, almost like a living partner. Mia watched from the control room. It's incredible, she said. This ship, it's more than metal and circuits. It's alive in a way because humans made it so. Luke nodded. It's proof of human ingenuity. Nothing stays useless if we try hard enough. Nothing stays forgotten if we believe it can matter. News arrived that the Xyrath fleet was slowly regrouping. They were sending reconnaissance ships to scout human colonies. Luke knew a larger conflict was coming. This time, humans would be ready. The lessons from the first battle, the patrol ship, and the rebuilt fleet would guide them. He gathered his team. We've shown we can survive. We've shown we can fight smarter, not just harder. The Xyrath will return, but we will be ready. Every ship, every crew, every human matters. We are stronger than they think. The station commander, Captain Hayes, added, Luke has shown what humans can do when we refuse to give up. We are not just surviving. We are preparing to thrive. As preparations continued, Luke spent time improving the patrol ship even further. He experimented with energy efficiency, targeting systems, and defensive maneuvers. Echo adapted quickly, learning with every test. Together, they developed new strategies and techniques that could be used by the entire fleet. One night, as the stars stretched across the black sky, Luke looked at the ship. We've come a long way, he said quietly. You were discarded, forgotten, obsolete. And now, you are one of the most powerful weapons humans have. But more than that, you are a symbol. Echo hummed softly. Human determination is unmatched. This ship represents it. Luke smiled. He knew the real strength was not in metal circuits or weapons. It was in humans themselves. They adapted. They learned. They never gave up. That was why even a small, old patrol ship could change the course of a battle. That was why humans could survive anything. As the station slept, Luke made one final adjustment to the patrol ship. He checked the shields, reinforced the engines, and recalibrated the weapons. Echo responded immediately, lights glowing brighter together. They prepared for whatever would come next. Luke leaned back, exhausted but determined. "Humans never give up," he said again. "And we're just getting started." The rebuilt patrol ship, once discarded and considered obsolete, sat quietly in the hangar. Its scars told stories of battle, of survival, and of ingenuity. It had become more than a ship. It had become a symbol of human courage and resourcefulness. The colonies were safe. For now. The Xyrith had retreated, but they would return. When they did, humans would meet them with strategy, courage, and determination. Every ship, every crew, every human would be ready. The universe would see that even the smallest, oldest creation could rise when guided by human hands and become something extraordinary. Luke watched the stars outside the station. He thought of future battles, of other old ships waiting to be rebuilt, and of humans rising again and again. The universe was vast and dangerous, but humans had learned a lesson no alien could underestimate. They were clever, adaptable, and unstoppable when they refused to give up. He turned to Echo. "Let's get ready," he said. "The fight isn't over, and humans will always find a way." Echo's lights blinked in agreement. "Ready for next mission, Luke." Together they looked at the stars, knowing that their journey was just beginning. Humans would survive. Humans would thrive. And even a discarded, obsolete ship could become a weapon and a symbol of human ingenuity.